Hi everyone, it's Katie with the doll. This lesson is based on a handout I made about a week or two ago called 8 Ways to Spark Creativity. I thought it might be helpful to provide some examples and some additional explaining to these activities. Sometimes it can be really difficult to get ourselves into a headspace for creativity when there's so much else going on around us, especially right now. So what I have for you are just some simple activities that you can do to get yourself into that creative mode. Let's get started. The first activity I have is mind mapping, and this is really simple. You just pick one word and then follow where your mind takes you. So I've been taking a lot of morning walks, so I've been thinking about spring morning, so I thought that would be a good way to start with my mind mapping example. And then I just thought, okay, what can I think about with spring mornings? Well, there's feelings, there's sounds, there's sights, and there's smells. So I just started with those 4 groups, and then I just branched off from there. And so you can take a look at all of the different things that came to mind as I was writing these words down, and then I put them on here for you guys to see. While you're doing this exercise, don't think too hard about it. Just whatever comes to mind, write it down. So for example, with sights, I started with sunrise, sunshine, warmth, and then I thought of universe, and I could go on and on and on, but I didn't want to bore you guys too much. But take a look over my words just to see how unexpected some of your connections might be. Don't judge them, just list all the things and see what you can come up with. Activity number 2 is called Alternative Uses, which was developed by J.P. Guilford as a way to measure creativity, but it's also a great way to get your creative ideas flowing. So basically, just choose a random object to start with. Give yourself 2 minutes to think of as many ways as possible that you could use your object. So my example is a spoon, and then I basically just sat down for 2 minutes and tried to think of as many ways as possible that I could use a spoon. Activity number 3 is the Scribble challenge, and it's really simple. All you need is a piece of paper and something to write with. And all you do is literally make a random scribble, keep it simple, and then stare at that scribble until you see something. And then once you see that something, turn that scribble into it. So you can see my original scribble on the left, and after a while I stared at it and I was like, this could be a bird, and so I turned it into a bird. This is a really fun activity to do with a partner, or you could do this with your kids too. Take turns drawing scribbles, or each of you make a scribble and then exchange it and turn it into whatever you see. Activity number 4 is creating a master study. So basically, choose an artwork from one of the masters. So somebody who is well known and famous in art history, or maybe just an artist that you really like, and look at their painting, drawing, whatever it is, and just copy it. I think people get really uncomfortable with copying, but really it's just a way to learn from the masters. Think about the colors they were using, try to recreate the textures that they were creating, that type of thing. So it's not really a bad thing, it's just copying to learn. That's how kids learn how, to draw, to do anything, is by copying. And so we can learn by copying too. Activity number 5 is a simple brain dump. So you'll declutter your mind by brain dumping for half an hour. So simply write any and all thoughts down on paper. Don't judge these thoughts, just write. So even if your first sentence is, I don't know what to write and this feels silly, just keep going and trust me, the words will start flowing. So think of it as just putting your constant stream of thought onto paper. This isn't a masterpiece, this is just for you. So dump those thoughts out and open up space for creativity and clarity. If it helps, set a timer for yourself so you aren't constantly checking how many minutes it's been. Like, oh, is it half an hour yet? And it's actually only been 5 minutes. This can be really helpful. Or if time isn't working for you, set an amount of pages instead of time. So for example, write until you fill 1 to 2 pieces of paper front and back. Activity number 6 is called New Observations. So choose an object and write down everything you can possibly observe about it for 15 minutes. The longer you look, the more you'll see. So I just chose something sitting on my desk, which was this pink oil pastel. And I set a timer for myself, and then I just stared at it for 15 minutes and try to think of as many things as possible. So here are some of my examples from what I observed. 15 minutes is going to feel like a really long time, but I think you'll be surprised. You'll start out pretty quickly and then you'll hit a wall, and then you'll start picking up on things that maybe you wouldn't have noticed in the first minute or so. Activity number 7 is creating a found sculpture. So basically just look around your house, and use the objects in your house to create a temporary found object sculpture. I think this is especially fun for kids. They could do it with their toys, anything like that, and it's just a practice of collecting things and arranging them in a way that you could see as an artwork. Lastly, activity 8 is creating connections. So choose 2 objects that appear to be very different from one another. Then write down everything you can think of to make connections between the 2 objects. So this is similar to new observations, but you want to make connections between 2 objects instead of just observing one. So 2 things I had sitting on my desk was a paintbrush and a candlestick. So I set them down in front of me, and then I looked at them, and they're long, skinny, smooth, round, straight. They have a use, they're man-made, etc., etc. So just sit down and think of as many connections between 2 seemingly different things as you can think of. As I was making this lesson, I was really thinking about what even is creativity, or what does it mean to me? So I've provided here for you a definition of, or my loose definition of how I see creativity. Creativity is learning to see, think, and live differently. And I think all of these activities that I've provided you are ways to do just that. And last but importantly, here are some of my references, and I will leave links to all of these in the description of this video. I hope you were able to spark some creativity with these activities. I want to take a quick moment to remind you that registration for camps and classes at the Doll is now open. Check out everything we are offering on our website at www.thedoll.org/education. Lastly, don't forget that we offer scholarships. We believe everyone deserves access to quality art education. So our biggest thanks goes out to our generous donors who make the work we do here at the Doll possible. Thanks so much for watching.